A German cabinet minister had a scare when protesting farmers prevented him from disembarking from a ferry that he was traveling on. Economy Minister Robert Habeck was returning from holiday on a North Sea island. Police had to use pepper spray to disperse the angry nighttime crowd. Farmers have been up in arms over government plans to withdraw tax breaks for the agricultural sector. Habeck later reached the mainland safely. So let's get more from our chief political correspondent, Nina Haza. Nina, what does this say about the political climate in Germany? Because, I mean, there's more at play here, isn't there?
There is, Sarah, and it is not looking good. That's what it says, what these pictures say. Mr. Habeck himself reacted on Friday morning, said that he was very concerned about how agitated the mood is becoming across the country. And he added that he's above all worried for all those who are elected officials all over the country, like mayors, for example, of small towns, who face similar abuse or aggression on a daily basis and who don't, like him, have police protection. He does that, of course, he does have that because he's a cabinet minister. And interestingly, that was a sentiment that was shared by many people on Friday, also high-ranking politicians, also from the opposition Conservative Party, who all have reacted in big numbers to those pictures from the ferry, that they see that organised hassling like that has nothing to do with legitimate protest. They say that red lines are crossed in situations like that, and that they fear that the mood is at tipping point here in Germany, that fact-based political discourse and the search for compromise, something that Germany is so well known for around the world and is proud of, is at risk. And that's, of course, something that we've seen in other countries too. There are also groups who benefit from driving society further apart, and that is also something that appears to be happening here. The Farmers' Union has distanced themselves from those protests. They say they have nothing to do with that, but there are obviously groups who benefit from pictures like this.
Okay, and I want to drill down a little bit more into the mood overall in the country. I'm going to first look at the numbers. Nina, you're going to stay with me, because it comes as German opinion polls indicate that support for Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his government are, in fact, at a record low. Less than 20% of participants in the survey by public broadcasters say that they are pleased with the government's performance, with the vast majority saying that they are not satisfied. 83% of people say that they are concerned about the current situation in Germany. Only 13% feel optimistic. Germans continue to broadly support their government's decision to supply Ukraine with weapons to defend itself against Russia's invasion. And a total of 52% say that they are in favor of continuing to provide financial support to Ukraine. So, Nina, it seems pretty clear that Germans are not happy. Can the government survive this?
Well, this government has another year and a half to go until Germans go to the polls again regularly. That is the rest of their term. And of course, they are dealing with lots of challenges. Germany is going through a very difficult period as a country. So any government, you have to always say that, would be having a tough time at the moment. They're having to save money because the court has told them they have to. That's never popular with the public. The economic model that this country has benefited from so long is being challenged. There are multiple international crises that directly affect Germany, like Russia's war on Ukraine, also the situation in the Middle East that's also driving a big rift here in society. There's the climate crisis, populism on the rise, etc. But yes, there are also homemade problems. They are a three-way coalition with very strong individual parties with very different priorities at times. They're not very good at communicating the measures they're taking jointly. They're arguing in public, also not something that's very popular with voters. They're having to withdraw measures after long months of public debate. At times, people are frustrated. They can't plan properly. But I dare say that they will stick together until Germans go to the polls again next year. The FDP, the smallest party, had a vote, and the small majority said that they want to stay in the coalition. That was always sort of a big question mark. And to be honest, if there were fresh elections at the moment, all of these three parties know that they would lose.
DW's Nina Haza, chief political correspondent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Now, as you know, here at GB News, we like to cover the stories that the mainstream media doesn't like to talk about. And there's not been much coverage of the extraordinary events going on right now in Germany. Farmers are staging a week of nationwide protests against cuts to fuel subsidies, and Germany wants to hit net zero by 2045, 5 years ahead of the UK. Farmers have blocked roads while some protesters have clashed with police. Well, I'm joined now by German MEP Markus Buckheit, who is from the Alternative for Germany party. Welcome to the show, Markus. Always a pleasure. So for the benefit of British viewers who might not be fully up to speed about the German tractor protest, can you tell us why it started and what caused farmers to take to the streets in such extreme numbers?
Well, first of all, you might say that it's not only farmers who are going to the streets right now, it's also hotel owners, it's restaurant owners. It's a lot of craftsmen and workers here as well who are simply overwhelmed by the enormous rise in prices here. And now in the concrete case of the farmers, surely of the diesel taxation, which is starting now, you know perhaps that due to the carbon dioxide reduction the German government has envisaged for the next months and years to come, we pay around 10 cents more per liter of diesel or fuel as well right now in Germany. And surely that will have a huge impact on the production costs, not only for the farmers, but also if you think about truck owners and all the shipping industry.
And Markus, this has echoes of the Gilets jaunes movement in France. Of course, that was initially over rural taxation to fuels, and also echoes of the Dutch farmers' protests. Again, that was farmland being hit hard by governments trying to cut down on carbon footprints. Do you think it is net zero zealotry that's driving this?
Yeah, definitely. However, you might always, you see, in France and Belgium, as well as in the Netherlands, the reaction of the public is always much more robust than here in Germany. So it is quite surprising to us, for me as a politician, for our party, and for the greater public here in Germany, to see that people are taking to the street in such an immense number, blocking the streets and having these huge demonstrations overall, and showing their power and also their determination to go against these new laws.
And how angry are the German public? We see in Britain there's no real consultation on the ability to vote on things like this. How angry are the German electorate about net zero measures, about the cost of living crisis on top of that?
They are extremely anger right now. I mean, you see it right now. The current government, consisting of those three parties, the red, the yellow ones, the liberals, and the green ones, I think they have around 30% in polls right now. I mean, they are declining massively, and the pressure from the street is rising every day. I mean, you shouldn't forget one thing. We just started the 8th of January. There are many, many more protests to come during the next days and weeks.
Yeah, and it's now gone into other sectors, right? You mentioned a lot of other sectors are going on strike too. They're downing tools in solidarity with the farmers. What does that mean for supply routes in Germany? Are there food shortages?
Not yet. We haven't arrived there quite yet, and you have to see that, especially the EPP party here, which is the Christian Conservative Party, the CDU. They are quite traditionally closely connected to the farmers, and they try to keep that still quite calm and down. But I think they will not succeed in the long run, because you see there is no action from the government going towards these protests, going towards understanding the people and why they take to the streets.
And Markus, has this people power, has this uprising had an impact? Have the government rowed back on any of these policies, or are they sticking to their guns?
Well, you see, it's a federal republic. Therefore, in certain states, you do have some small signs of going towards these demands and maybe abolishing some laws. But so far, the federal government has not taken back any of them, and they keep going their route. And they, as you mentioned it before, they need to, because they want to achieve net zero. And the farmers, according to their ideology, need to contribute to that.
And Markus, do you think this will have a net result of a political outfall? Will there be a political impact? We're seeing all over the world this year 70 elections nationally. What about in Germany? Do you think people are going to start voting against punitive net zero measures?
Absolutely. They can't, as you mentioned before, they can't directly vote against these measures, but they can vote for the parties who are against these measures. And that is mainly one party, and that's my party, the AfD. And you see us right now in polls with around 23, 24%. We expect certain results far above the 30% in the certain eastern states like Brandenburg and Thuringia. And I think this will be a wake-up call also for challenging the current political system in Germany.
And Marcus, in Germany, as in Britain, your party is often branded as right-wing, as the Brexit Party and others were in the UK. Are the political establishment worried about the insurgent movement that you represent?
Obviously, but you shouldn't forget one thing. They are mainly worried about losing their jobs and losing the jobs of the guys they employ. So that is their main problem. So however they want to call us, they might call us right-wing extremists, whatever. Doesn't matter. We are there for the people. We have the way towards pragmatism, while the others keep the way towards ideology. And I think what we need nowadays, that is pragmatism.
OK, thank you very much for joining us on GB News live from Germany. Marcus Buchheit, German MEP for the Alternative for Germany party. Got elected the same day as I did, but of course, I was with the Brexit Party. I was a turkey voting for Christmas.